Hello. Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us for Irving Arts Center's Lunch and Learn. My name is Marcy Inman. I am Director of Exhibitions and Educational Programs here at the Irving Arts Center. I'd like to extend an especially warm welcome to those of you visiting the Arts Center for the first time and or attending a Lunch and Learn session for the first time. We hope you come back. Our guest speaker today is Bill Thompson, who will discuss his photographs currently on exhibit here at the Arts Center in Beauty is Not Always Pretty, Recent Photographs and Prints in the Dupree Lobby Gallery through November 29th. Bill Thompson is an Irving-based artist. He holds an MA and an MFA in art from the University of Dallas here in Irving and a BA from Texas A&M Corpus Christi. And he has been an instructor of photography and printmaking at the Ursuline Academy of Dallas since 1997. Bill's work explores subjects found in his everyday surroundings. Details of old railroad cars and the variegated husk-covered surfaces of palm trees are the focus of the 30 photographs and screen prints in his current exhibition. For Bill, these objects reveal their beauty and meaning as metaphors that celebrate purpose and reveal themes of sacrifice and redemption. We are recording today's presentation, and Bill's talk will be available to view on the Irving Arts Center's YouTube channel in the next 2 to 3 weeks. As always, there is time allotted for Q&A and remarks. Please raise your hand to speak, and a microphone will be passed to you. The microphone is necessary so we can capture the audio of all of your comments and questions on the recording. So without further delay, please join me in giving a very warm welcome for Bill Thompson.
Thank you, Marcia. Thank you. It's a privilege to be here. I have up here on the screen that I'm an artist educator. I spend more time in the classroom than I do in the studio, so that could easily be reversed. But who I am has much to do with where I came from. My father was an Episcopal priest. My mother was a registered nurse. However, once she started having children, mothering was her job. She grew up in Plattsburgh, New York. Her mother died when she was young, leaving her and her brother with an alcoholic father. And fortunately, she was raised by a very generous and wonderful neighbor. She joined the Nursing Army Corps after high school. She met my father at a dance in upstate New York. He grew up in Cambridge, New York, a very small town. He had 2 older brothers and a twin sister. His 2 brothers fought in the war, but Dad's eyesight disqualified him from enlisting. He was a seminarian at Yale Divinity School when they met. His first call to being a priest was in Luling, Texas, which is south of Austin and east of San Antonio. In the 50s, that must have been a real culture shock. This is the last, this portrait here of my mom I took several years after my dad had died. And the best portrait I have of my dad is, I'm going to have to master this system here. There we go. Yeah, usually it's just click a button and I'm having to click on the slides. That's okay though. Oh, just click the down button.
No, it's not.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not.
Oh, it's not advancing? Now try it. It was working earlier. Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. And which button do I hit? The down button? Okay. Thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you for your patience. No, this portrait of my mom I took several years after he had died. This picture is from his obituary, so, but a better portrait I have of him is this one here. This was a family photograph I took somewhere around 2001. This is the last picture I have of him. After my 3 sisters, I was born in 1958, number 4 of 5 children. I have a younger brother. He's there in the center, in the back with his wife. I am in the top right with my wife, Cheryl. Across the back are my siblings with their spouses. Down in front are grandchildren. My formative years growing up in Corpus Christi, that's where my father's second parish was. Jump way ahead to 1978. I was an art major at West Texas State University in Canyon and dropped out my sophomore year. It was a good school, I just could not visualize a future as an artist. I started working as a contractor doing residential framing. I did electrical wiring for another contractor. I worked for 1.5 years in the oil field. After that, I was a bartender for 8 years. Early in the 80s, I heard a Jackson Browne song, The Pretender. Maybe you know it. I'm not gonna play it for you now. But it's about someone who gives up on dreams and resigns to be a happy idiot who struggles for money. And the song really hit me where I live. I wanted to think there was something out there that was made for me, something rewarding, but I was losing hope. The bartending job allowed me to go back to school. A degree could open more opportunities. Tending bar was a way for me to do that. And it's where I met my wife, or my future wife. When I was in Corpus Christi State University, which is what Texas A&M Corpus Christi was before it came Texas A&M. When I was at Corpus Christi State University, I continued with art. It was the only thing I could tolerate studying to get a degree. I did not know at the time, but I was and I am dyslexic. It wasn't until my senior year that I considered art as a viable path forward. I had taken all the art classes with a concentration in photography and ceramics. It was 1985. I took a printmaking class not knowing what it was. Professor Mark Anderson, this is the earliest picture I have of him, but it was this is much after I'd graduated. He came up to Dallas for an exhibition, and this was taken then, some years ago. He was my first mentor. It turned out printmaking really ignited my imagination. It's hard to put into words. This is my first print, by the way. It's a copy of a Goya, Francisco Goya, his Los Caprichos series. I kind of liked it because, well, there's some swift punishment going on. But how printmaking affected me is hard to put into words, and I've tried many times, but here's my most recent attempt. Photography, although there is so much I love about it, it was not direct enough. Whereas painting and drawing are way too direct. Printmaking allowed me to bring my photography into a graphic hands-on method. It was laborious, but it fit my sense. It just made sense, and it fit my work ethic. It slows you down. and suddenly you have a proof. It called forth innate skills that I didn't know I had. And I just felt made for it. It's something I could control. You weren't just making an image, you were making a matrix, an instrument that made art in repetition. The control felt godlike. Cheryl and I married that same year, 40 years ago. So this is, and Francesco Goya actually invented the medium of aquatint. I don't know if y'all are familiar with etching, but it's an intaglio process where you etch metal, you ink, you force ink into the recesses of the plate, and you wipe the plate clean on the surface, leaving that ink in the recesses. And the press lifts it out in the paper. The one on the left is an aquatint, and the one on the right is a screen print. These are just places in my environment. I was always drawing upon my environment. The one on the left is a view out our apartment window. And the one on the right was the last restaurant I worked in. It was refreshing to have something to pursue, feeling like you were part of something. It just made sense to me. These are pictures of me back then. I just got these pictures this year. Someone sent them to me. I had never seen them before. The one on the left was taken, it was like an end of the year party at Mark Anderson's house. He took that, he sent it to me recently. He had been going through some old things. And the one on the right, it came off of Facebook from somewhere. I'm not sure really where. But that's in the studio at Texas A&M University in Corpus Christi. Dan Allison was a very successful, prolific artist in Houston. I spent 2 years after graduation building a portfolio for graduate school. I applied to 3 and was accepted at each: University of Texas in San Antonio, University of Dallas in Irving, and University of South Florida in Tampa. All of them were great programs, but the letter I remember getting the most is from University of Dallas. It was my first choice because it was an opportunity to learn from Jürgen Strunk. Their scholarship package wasn't too bad either. We moved up here in 1988. I came here to be a better artist. I didn't see myself teaching, mainly because I didn't like public speaking. Before completing my MFA, there were 2 people who nudged my career path to teaching. I was talking with Cameron Shep. He was teaching sculpture there at University of Dallas at the time. He now teaches at TCU. When one of his students, who was photographing her sculptures, approached and asked a question about how the camera works, I volunteered an answer. When I finished, she looked up at Cam and said, "Is that right?" And he said yes, and he gave me high praise for putting camera operation in such simple, understandable terms. 2 things had just happened to me. It was gratifying to teach someone something, providing them an answer to something they wanted to know. It made me feel relevant. And number 2 was Cam's affirmation. I came to realize the power of a well-placed compliment. It was a double delight, and it's just stuck with me. The other nudge came when I pondered the possibility of teaching with Jürgen. He said with a small grin, "Oh, you'll teach," and walked away. And it was kind of reassuring, but a little dark as well, prophetic nonetheless. And these are graduate school pictures I did in graduate school. The first one, this was the first one I did in graduate school, and Lyle Novinsky loaned me a camera that was much like the one in the picture here. And it was my first opportunity to use medium format photography. The one on the left was hand-drawn. I mean, it's a screen print, but the subject matter was hand-drawn. The matrix or the screens were prepared with hand drawings. And the one on the right was done from photography. But they're familiar places in my daily experience. And a lot of times I was trying to merge both utilitarian stuff and the beauty of nature. These were all screen prints. But that was in graduate school. Briefly on another topic, because it was during this time, 2 of my prints got into an exhibition. It was the exhibition of the Albany Print Club. And one got a purchase award, and the other one, seen here on the left, was purchased by a member named Tom Andrus. I mention this because it's part of a story I want to get back to in a minute. I started teaching part-time at the University of Dallas. I ran the university gallery for 3 years. During that time, I started teaching at El Centro College, teaching photography, and also started teaching part-time in Denton at UNT. I taught printmaking. All the while, still continuing to make art. And the job in Denton turned into a full-time job, so I was able to let go of the other part-time jobs. I was later a sabbatical replacement for the chair of printmaking, Judy Youngblood. During this 5-year or 6-year period, I was applying for tenure-track studio positions all over the country and continuing to work in the studio. And that's what these are. And they would become my first show. I think it was 1996 when I had my first show here at Irving Arts Center. And this is what, many of these images were in that. That was in 96, yes. But back to the job search. There were so many applicants for every job. It's very competitive. I was a finalist many times, but I never got an offer. And when Judy's sabbatical was over, I was out of a job. I was the administrator for Print Press, which is their collaborative print studio up there, but that was a part-time position. I had a wife, 2 small children, all of us living in a South Irving apartment. That spring was no fun. The job season was over, and I had no prospects for work in the coming fall. Early in June '97, we went down to San Antonio for my dad to baptize my daughter, Hannah. I was bitter about the job search, but I tried not to let it show. Talking one evening with my dad, he asked me about my art. I told him it was about utility and being useful. And being unemployed, I didn't feel too useful. I told him that too. I asked him, how am I supposed to feel useful when I can't get a job? What are we here for? He smiled and said to praise God. I fired back. Well, what about being a good provider? What about being a good dad, a good husband? What about that, Dad? And he didn't change his expression. He just said, Bill, you do all those things if you can, but the first order of business is praising God. I had to sit back. I had been trying for a job and praying for a job for 5 or 6 years and producing artwork, but I had not been praising God. I said, well, hell, I can praise God. I decided to simply let go of the burden, the worry, the trying, not even pray about it. Just hand it over, move on, and praise God. For some reason, it was easy. Later that summer, I got a call from a teacher named Leah Pierce at Ursuline Academy. She was the chair of the art department. I'd never even heard of Ursuline Academy. She said my name came up while she was interviewing someone else, someone I knew from graduate school, Patricia Vaughn. Patricia is a painter. Ursuline is looking for someone to teach photography and printmaking. Another graduate school classmate, Rick Parsons, was already working for Ursuline Academy with Leah. Once he knew I was being considered, he gave me further recommendation for the job. So on the phone call, she practically offered me the job. All I had to do was have a face-to-face with the principal to seal the deal. I never thought about teaching high school, but I had no other offers. I've been there 29 years. One thing that has kept me there was the opportunity to teach photography and printmaking, my two loves. I have never seen a teaching position posted, college or otherwise, that was described that way. You would either teach one or the other, and likely be shouldered with a design class or a drawing class. And throughout my teaching, that's been the case, photography and printmaking. I had it in my head to teach college, but God gave me what I was designed for. Growing up, I even had 3 older sisters that prepared me for an all-girls school environment. If you didn't know, I didn't mention Ursuline Academy as an all-girls school. The work I photographed in the 90s, all those prints I was showing you, were photographed with a camera like this. It's a Graphic Century graphic. It is 2x3 format. A friend of mine loaned it to me, and that's when I did that shooting for that body of work. And I liked the camera so much, I went out and got one of my own. This is the one I own. And I taught darkroom photography for the first 15 years, saw it through the digital transition. In 2012, we did away with the darkroom completely. In the film years, I explored and taught a lot of film processes, formats, subjects. 2 that really got my attention that I enjoyed were night photography and pinhole photography. Nothing really related to what's in the exhibition now, but it's just, photography has satisfied a lot of my curiosities. The camera on the left shows it with a normal lens. The bellows is out for that normal focal length. And the camera on the right has got an ultra wide angle lens. It's a 47 millimeter lens, requiring it to be recessed back into the camera body because it's such a wide angle lens, so that I can get more of the sky. Because I was photographing star trails. I would take my kids camping because you can't see stars unless you're out in a remote location. On the left, Byron and I went to Fort Griffin one time. That is out toward Abilene. If you go up toward Albany, it's north of Albany. And it's probably the closest really dark skies from Dallas. We also took a couple of other cameras, twin lens reflex cameras. The film photographs darkness really well. Digital has a trouble photographing darkness, but film cameras do a great job. But we'd put them on a tripod, open the shutter for 30 minutes, an hour, hour and a half, and it traces the stars as they go across the sky. And it's not really, they're not moving, it's the spinning of the earth is what's doing it. So it's just a fascinating thing I did a lot of. And these are the results of that. That's my daughter. We were in Abilene State Park. This one was shot at Fort Griffin. And so we have the ruins of Fort Griffin in the foreground. And during that hour and a half that the shutter was open, I walked into the ruin and I tripped the flash to give a little illumination on the structure. And you could see my son's tripod was in the shot there too, but that's all right. The one on the left was the one we did in Abilene, at the Abilene State Park. Another hour and a half exposure, and that's what the stars do over an hour and a half. The one on the right was a digital camera, and that's about a 20-second exposure getting the stars at Lake Brownwood State Park. That's another good dark sky place. Now, while on these camping trips, I still continued to make photographs, and I struggle with sticking with that current line of imagery and wanting to work with the beauty of nature as well. So I am a consummate landscape photographer. This was in Fort Griffin State Park. I don't think it's a state park still, but it is a camping area nonetheless. And this was early one morning with the sun coming through the mesquite trees. This will give it a little scale. I pulled a proof during a class one time for a demonstration. But a relief print, it's a relief print. This is another image I got from Lake Texoma. And so with linoleum, you carve the surface. Many of you are familiar with a relief print. On linoleum, you carve the surface, carve away the areas you want to be white, leave in relief the areas that get rolled with ink and transferred to the paper. And this is the resulting print on that. Another relief print I did, we spent a lot of time going back and forth to San Antonio, because that's where my parents had retired. And if you're going north on 35 out of San Antonio, you've seen this. You may not have seen it quite like this, but that's north of San Antonio on I-35, heading north, the Watson Lane overpass. The other medium I talked about was pinhole. And pinhole photography is the simplest form of photography. If you've got a light, tight chamber and have a pinhole in it, you've got a camera. It doesn't require a lens. I spent one summer building a lot of them. And for my class, I ordered a bunch of paint cans because those are light, tight containers. They were empty paint cans. And cut a hole in them, and we would put a shim of aluminum cut right out of a beverage can. And I'd have the students with a needle poke a hole, a pinhole in the aluminum to put over that hole on the paint can. We'd go in the dark room, put a piece of photo paper in it, put the lid on, take it out, put it in front of our subject, in this case, a girl sitting at a table, and take electrical tape off of the pinhole, count out 30 seconds, put it back, take the whole thing back into the darkroom, open it up, drop it in the developer, and what results is the negative image you see on the left. Now, once that is dry, you take that and put it in contact with another piece of photo paper and expose it to light. The negative, the paper negative, is somewhat translucent, lets light come through and create the positive image on the other sheet. So all of that done without a lens. It's a fun way to work. It's very fast and immediate. Normally they were taking 36 pictures on a roll and then spending an hour developing it before they even saw a negative, much less go to the enlarger and make a print. This was just really fast and a lot of fun. So these are some examples of different pinhole photographs I made. That one summer I built an 11 by 14 inch format out of an old wine crate. It had several different apertures or pinholes to accommodate the different focal lengths it would do. It was a neat camera. You can do distortions too by skewing the film plane. Mark Anderson, my teacher in undergraduate school, was now the chair of the art department up at Baylor University. And I offered them our equipment because we closed the darkroom in 2012. One of his faculty members came down and took it all back with him to Waco. And the digital transition for me had a steep learning curve all through the 2000s. I credit Ursuline Academy for effective professional development, providing Adobe training, workshop training, whenever I needed it. I spent years mastering light-sensitive methods, doing pre-press work in the darkroom with sheets of orthochromatic film. And I brought a piece of orthochromatic film today. The thing with printmaking, you have to translate a continuous tone image into areas that will either print ink or not print ink. And so this was light sensitive and opaque, but once exposed to an image and develop, it comes out like this. And then this in turn is used to create a stencil in a screen or a plate on a litho plate or whatever light sensitive medium you want to use in print. And so those would be made in the darkroom, and it took time. Now I adjust something on the computer in Photoshop and send it to an inkjet printer and run film through the printer, and out pops that. But it took some time to learn how to do that. This is a picture of Aransas Bay with a 400 millimeter lens. My wife still has family down there. And so we go down there often, and I just shoot pictures because it's beautiful down there. In 2014, I got a call from Tom Andrus in Schenectady, New York. He was that member of the Albany Print Club that bought one of my prints back in 1992. He was now the president of the club. And he invited me to be the artist printmaker for the 2015 presentation print. It would be an edition of 100. I had a year before it was due, and they would need preliminary examples of my work to make their selection. The commission was for $4,400. I knew I could do it, but my studio at home wasn't big enough. I told them I'd love to do it, but I have to check on some things before confirming. I was in my 16th year of teaching at Ursuline Academy. I had continued to create prints and photographs, but not with the fervor and focus of a serious artist. I had not been entering shows. There's no pressure to do so when you're teaching high school. One tends to focus on teaching. It is a full-time job after all. One of my kids was in college, the other was still in high school. So family often took precedent over studio time. The fact is, I was doubting myself as an artist, asking, am I capable of this? I looked on the print club's website. They had been publishing an annual presentation print since 1933. If I did this, my name would be among names that I've long admired. Paul Cadmus, John Taylor Arms, Rockwell Kent, more recently Barry Moser, Gordon Mortensen, Warrington Colescott. And that's just a few. After thinking about it, I knew two things. I knew I could do it, and there was no reason not to. I brought it to the academic dean, Birgit Lopez at Ursuline Academy, requested the use of an art room in the summer. She okayed it. I sent 3 images from them to choose from, and they picked one. I hired my daughter as an assistant. We spent almost a month printing it. It took 35 color runs. It was an edition of 100 with 15 artist proofs, delivered on time. You may recall seeing this print in the exhibit. Shifting gears, this is a cityscape in Shanghai in 2007. In fact, since then, several skyscrapers have been built, namely the Shanghai Tower that dwarfs everything. When I started at Ursuline Academy in 1997, we hosted our first sister school in Beijing, the Washoe Girls' School. Now, Ursuline sends and receives student delegations to China, to and from China, Australia, Brazil, Peru, Argentina, England, France, Jordan, Uganda, and South Africa. I personally helped chaperone trips to China. Got a couple of pictures from there. Forbidden City architecture, Great Wall. Also in 2009, it was in Brazil, Salvador, Brazil, what used to be their capital. Paraty is a small colonial town in Brazil. And Iguazu, which is in the south of Brazil. It's a very large, a huge waterfall. I also chaperoned a trip to Rome. The choir was invited to sing in the Vatican in Christmas time. So that was a really neat trip. They got to sing at a multitude of venues. The San Andrea Apostoli in Rome. It's a Baroque church, beautiful, not as big as the Vatican, but beautiful nonetheless. Let's see, where did I leave off here? Okay. On these trips, students were continually asking me for advice about taking pictures. I began to think about an academic photo trip. That would be cool. If I created the trip, I could pick the places where we go. And there were a lot of places in Arizona I wanted to see. I know this is in Arizona. It's just near Arizona, but it's the Rimrocks Trail in Utah. Back in the year 2000, I had a one-person show in Northern Arizona University in Flagstaff. The following year, I taught summer school there, and after that, I did a printmaking workshop. Seeing the Grand Canyon in Sedona left me wanting more. Taking students would be a great way to do that. We made 4 trips to Arizona, starting in 2013. We spent a little time in Utah and a little time in New Mexico. I've got a few pictures here that are just the tip of the iceberg. Monument Valley is just stunning place, just beautiful, the sunrise in Monument Valley. But there, I mean it, there's just so many things to see out there. You can't see them all in one lifetime. This picture I took, I'm going to tell you about a workshop I attended, and when I was, in a minute, but when I was flying out there, we flew right over SP Crater. And I was familiar with SP Crater because I found it on a Google Earth and thought that would be a neat place to take a hike, you know. Just north of Flagstaff, there's a cinder cone field, which are little volcanoes, basically. And this one caught my eye because it's got this black lava flow going out of it. And I found out it was on private land, but there's public access, and you can practically drive right up to it. I don't know if my cursor's out there. There it is. So you could drive right up to it, and we parked right at the base of it, and it's an 800-foot crater. And we hiked up this little valley here between these two craters. The one on the left is an ancient cinder cone, and the one on the right is a much more new, pristine cinder cone. And right between them, about halfway up, is where this next picture was taken. That's what it looks like on the ground. And it's just a fascinating thing to think about how it was made and why it is the way it is. And when you're up on top, the view is spectacular, and it's just peaceful as all get out. Just a beautiful place. But there's so many things to see in Arizona. But talking about that workshop I was flying out there to do, it was based out of Kanab, Utah, which is right in the middle. It's between Grand Canyon, Zion, and Bryce Canyon. And there's even so much to see that has nothing to do with those national parks. This one was for photographing stars in Kanab, or actually in different areas. This one's in White Pockets, which is on the Vermilion Cliffs National Monument just north of the Grand Canyon. And it's a landscape that nobody really knows how it was formed, and it's just so odd and strange. I got some day shots of it too, but it's just beautiful. But the dark skies are just incredible. This is Inchworm Arch that is not far from this place. But going back to White Pockets, the landscape is just amazing. And the weather we had was really cool. I mean, that afternoon it was just, we had little mammatus clouds, and it was just beautiful. I've done a lot of landscape work. I'm inspired by nature. I think it's beautiful, and I can't resist photographing it. However, the content is always the same: respite. It is soothing to look at the beauty of nature. To me, it's a universal voice. I have done weddings, I've done portraiture, I've even done auto racing. They've all been valuable experiences for me as an artist and as a teacher. I wanted to find, since early on I wanted to find my own personal artistic voice with photography, and that's what I think the line of images is. The images in the gallery, they sprang from a shoot I did for prints. These images, that was a shoot while preparing to do this print. I sent them some of these for them to consider, and this is the one they chose. And I've been editing them on and off until last year. Most of them were unused until I decided to do this show. I just found it strange. One person, Tom Andrus, who bought one of my prints 33 years ago, throws a lifeline to my artist self 22 years later. The research I had to do for that commission was the impetus for the exhibit 10 years later. To the prints, the aluminum composite material, also known as ACM, in the common name of dye bond, the layered structure gives ACM a high strength to weight ratio, making it durable yet lightweight. It's resistant to weather, corrosion, UV rays, which makes it ideal for indoors and outdoors. You've probably seen it around town and didn't know it. It's got commercial application. But for something so thin, it's very rigid. It'll stay straight, it's flat. You're welcome to pass it around if you like. The edges are fragile though, so if you drop it, it's likely to damage an edge. That was a sample I took before I committed with my printer. The printer was Thomas Printworks down on Maple, and they printed these for me. It's done on a big flatbed press. This plotter goes back and forth, printing your image. They could fit a 4x8 sheet of this stuff in there to print on. This method uses UV light to cure the ink directly on the panel, resulting in vivid, long-lasting prints. It's commonly used for signage, exhibitions, and high-definition fine art reproductions. If this was from opening night or from the reception night, and I've got this one on the right. You could see behind the print, I made wood frames. They're just little 3/4 by 2-inch stock wood, pine, and miter cut into frames. I took a weekend out at Lake Palestine where my brother-in-law is, and he helped me make these frames. And we painted them, and then we put them, I brought them home and adhered them to the back with Loctite construction adhesive, for what it's worth, and that seemed to do the trick. And I chose this method because looking at prints all my life, I always really did not look forward to putting them in a frame. I like a naked print. I just love being able to look at a print in the flesh. And so putting them on the wall like this, without a frame, it gives the viewer a different experience. They're in the space with it. And some of these are to scale or even bigger than scale. So it just amplifies the experience along with heightening the color and texture of this work. And plus, the space is just beautiful. When I first saw that show in there, I was so pleased with that space, that beautiful curving wall and the lighting. It's just a beautiful space, and I really appreciate that. Now, I was told these images would last 30 years as signage, which is not considered archival. But even things that are archival, you wouldn't expose to daylight. The main reason we put things in a frame under glass is to protect them. If you get a Giclée print wet, you've ruined it. If these get wet, just wipe them down. UV ink and its substrate are printed, the substrate they're printed on are stable. If kept from ultraviolet light, they should last longer. That's it, that's my presentation. Thank you for your attention. Thank you to the Irving Arts Center and for bringing me here and for this. I'm happy to answer any questions or have any conversations.
Okay, anybody? I have a microphone. Jimena? Jimena, if you wait just a second.
Hold on, wait for the microphone.
Oh, okay. Hi. Thank you for taking us on this journey. I thank you for taking us on your personal journey and the photographic journey. Beautiful photographs, and now I know where I want to go for sky gazing. And in Utah, did you, was that film photography or digital photography?
I teach all digital now.
Yeah.
Since 2012, it's been strictly digital.
Yes.
You know, there are some schools that have held on to their dark rooms, and I miss teaching film.
Right.
But at the time, I was teaching printmaking, film photography, and digital photography, and the physical maintenance of all that was excessive. And if we were going to continue that, we were going to have to hire another teacher, and they weren't going to hire another teacher. So we did away with the dark room, and that simplified our lives.
Yeah.
But
beautiful. Thank you.
thank you.
It's nice getting to know you. Thank you for sharing. And did I see where you have an outdoor installation in Irving? Was that something that was downtown, or can you talk to that?
Yeah, after the show went in, Marcia gave me a call and said, the city wants to put my work out on the wall. And what they did was they printed it on vinyl, enlarged it to about 8 or 10 feet by 8 or 10 feet, I don't know, to fit in those 3 niches downtown, and they really look great.
Is that a historical area, or I'm not familiar with
Well,
where it is?
it's part of a revitalization of downtown. Mm-hmm. What is it called?
It's initiative Downtown Irving Reimagined, working with
yes.
Better Blocks. Yeah, so we were invited as a department to help activate that space. So we had those niches in Main Street Plaza. We previously had some work up there, but it was time to change it out anyway, and this was a perfect fit because Bill's photographs of the railroad cars, the extreme detailed close-ups, those are here in Irving. So it's an obvious connection between the depot and the railway and all that downtown. So it's a great project. Yeah.
I did want to ask you about that one piece that had the 35 and the 99, and what exactly was that, 35 and the 99?
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is, yes.
The title of that is Rebirth. I'm sorry, it's Born Again. You should give it a little more spiritual context, but Born Again, obviously this car had a certain identity before it became 35. That's all it's about, simply put. You know, it's they just renamed it. They gave it new life when they made it 39. So I just thought of that. That looks kind of like being reborn. It's been changed. But there's evidence of it, you know.
Okay,
That's all it is, right?
And I did want to comment on the photos that you have of MacArthur in the exhibit that were really very stunning.
Which photo?
Of MacArthur, the street.
Oh, yes, yes.
The overpass.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they were really great.
Oh, I'm glad you liked that.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and that was all part of that same shoot to do that print for the Albany Print Club. And in fact, there's one intersection at Story
Yes, yes.
and the Rock Island line, MacArthur, and then one down there near the Britain Road. So, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for sharing all of your, your journey, as she said. It's really cool. I'm curious, is there a way for a novice, such as me, to start dipping into the digital photography pool, so to speak? Is there an affordable way to start that I don't have to shell out a gajillion dollars for some program or whatever? Well, there's that, but to manipulate the colors and whatnot, how do you do that?
I can do everything. In 2023, I started teaching a class at Ursuline Academy called Pocket Photography, and it's all done on cell phone. And I had resisted doing that for ages. And then iPhone came out with their iPhone 14, and it had RAW files. You could do RAW files in a phone. And I thought it was time. I mean, we make prints up to 11 by 14 off cell phone prints, and they are really impressive. They really are. It's all computational photography. You don't have a lot of manual control over the exposure, but you can get that. I mean, there are apps you can download, and it's amazing what you can do. It's just that the camera is not designed to shoot in every light situation. Right. It's got a limited aperture. Yeah. But that's an amazing way to go. You could still use those files and work with them on Photoshop or any editing application. And in fact, Adobe has a free download for their Lightroom on a mobile device, and it allows you to, the Adobe Lightroom, you can manipulate color, contrast, crop, all sorts of stuff.
So Marcy, I guess my next question is, Marcy, this question's for you. Is there a chance that we could have a community art workshop?
Sure.
I'd sign up.
Yeah, she's in charge of education.
So what were the dates again that do you teach at Ursuline now?
I teach there now, yes.
But what did you start?
When did I start? 1997.
Ah, my daughter went there.
Oh, is that right?
And she took photography, so she had you. But what's interesting is she's not artistic at all. But I remember seeing her photos, and they were pretty good. So thank you for making her artistic.
What's your daughter's name?
Allison Fleck.
Alice.
She Allison
Last name?
Fleck.
Fleck?
Yeah,
I remember the name, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
She and her friend Lauren Olenforce, they would go out and do photo trips. And they were really, I mean, things that like you have in your exhibits, like kids on a swing. And it was amazing how she could develop an eye for that. And I'm sure you did that with all the students, but she graduated. And then I remember all the Chinese visits. And so that was really nice. You were able to take advantage of some of that.
Yeah, it was great. It really was.
Is the studio still down there below Haggerty or?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I taught most of my career down there below the cafeteria, and they changed that into the president's and administrative suite.
Okay.
And because they built a new East Campus, which has humanities and a theater. So all social studies, English, and art are taught in the new campus, in the new building.
Okay, I think
And
I remember.
it's really neat because I was in on the planning of the room itself that I was going to teach in. So
Oh,
we were
good.
able to really make a nice place to teach photography.
No. She really liked the school, so thank you.
She'll have to come back.
Anybody else?
Thank you for taking the time to give us this presentation. I did want to ask you, I'm an art major myself. I wanted to ask you your processes for your screen printing, because I know that that is a lot of ink.
Can you hold that mic closer? Go ahead.
What is your process for your screen printing? Because I know that's a lot of ink to be putting down.
Yep. The process for the screen printing, in Photoshop there is an adjustment called posterization. And what it does is it breaks the picture down into a specified number of values. If you have a black and white image and you posterize it for 9, it would make 9 different values from black to white. And if you make stencils for each of those and squeegee ink on top of it in sequence, you can build the image up and you could mask out certain areas and continue printing. In other words, work reductively within the screen to get more than one color out of the stencil. I know it's kind of abstract or hard to visualize, but that's what I primarily did. What have you done screen printing?
I did a little bit of it in school, yeah.
Yeah, it's
I did like 3 colors, so.
well, one thing screen printing does is liberate a lot of color. I mean, it allows you to use a lot of color, however much color you want to use. It's that's what I liked about it. It's just really kind of amazing. And if that doesn't answer your question, I'll be happy to go into it more.
That answers my question.
Okay, good.
Anybody else? Okay, well, fantastic. Let's give a round of applause for Bill. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And the exhibit is up. If you want to view the work in person, it's over in our Dupree Lobby Gallery. If you continue through the main gallery and head to the south side of the building, it's a gorgeous exhibition. There's a catalog that
Yeah.
accompanies the show.
If you didn't get a catalog, I've got some up here. Catalog for the show. Marcy was gracious enough to write the introduction to it. She did a wonderful job with the introduction.
Did you say your mom was born in Plattsburgh, New York?
Yes,
You know my family? My husband's family is from Plattsburgh, New York.
is that right?